Welcome to the channel. If you're new here and you love all things automotive news or just automotive talk in general, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that bell notification next to it right now. Today's topic, we're going to talk about the C8 Corvette and why it does not have a manual transmission. There is a good reason, apparently, according to GM executives, and we're going to touch on the maintenance costs. So let's get started with the transmission. The dual clutch transmission is hit or miss for a lot of people. The purists really want a manual transmission, and coming from a guy who grew up on manual transmissions, I love a manual transmission. It gives you that engagement with the car. It gives you a feel of it's like an extended limb. You know, you can feel the wheels, the tires, the contact with the road. You can feel the transmission itself as you it gives you a sense of connection with the car that automatics can't. Now, does that make them faster? In past years, yes. Manual transmissions in the past were significantly faster than automatics. Now, over time, the automatic transmission has developed and evolved into something far greater than I even imagined. But is that really a bad thing? Now, the dual clutch transmission in the Corvette is significantly faster than any manual transmission you could put in there. So to get the 0 to 60 times that they're claiming under 3 seconds, there's no way a manual could do that. And that's really what it boils down to, is speed. Everyone wants faster. And in order to go faster, you need to eliminate any disturbance from the drivetrain, aka shifting. Now with the automatic, you don't get any of that. Dual clutches are ridiculously fast, and GM knows this. But that's not the real reason the Corvette does not have a manual transmission. The reason is GM executive has stated in order to put a manual transmission in the car, they would have had to breached the central tunnel, aka the trans tunnel. Now, they said this is a major structural point for the car. This is an area where they said that if they cut a hole in that trans tunnel large enough for the shifter linkage and trans linkage and everything else you needed to go through, it would have affected the structure of that car so much. There's no way they'd have been able to accomplish the performance numbers they wanted. There's a chance that the rear hatch and glass would have broken because of the torque of the car, and many other issues that they said they would have had. So this was a engineering decision to not put the manual transmission in. So if you're thinking they did it just to be jerks, sorry, they're not just being jerks. They're doing what they had to do to make the C8 mid-engine car happen. Now, if that's not a good enough reason, well, sorry, I can't give you any more reasons because that's the only reason GM has. And frankly, it's a pretty good one. Now, they did hint around at an electronic shifter. Now, basically, they would have a gear selector or shifter on top of the trans tunnel. Does not breach the trans tunnel in any way. It's purely electronic. And it would basically be the same as dual clutch. It's just every time you would shift, it would send an electronic signal to the transmission telling it which gear to be in. It's the same thing a dual clutch does. The only difference is you have a shifter on the center console instead of paddle shifters on the steering wheel. I don't really see the benefit to that. I don't see the engagement with that. They also do have a patent for an electronic clutch pedal. So they've obviously tossed this idea around. If it's a good one, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it. If I can't get a real manual transmission, I don't want some fake electronic thing, because essentially you're just playing a video game. You're not going to get the feel out of it. You're not going to get that engagement you want. So I don't see a point in going with some weird electronic shifter. Dumb idea. Stay away from it. Just stick with the dual clutch transmission. All right, moving on. Maintenance cost. It's a mid-engine car. If anyone thinks you're going to buy a mid-engine Corvette and have the maintenance cost of a C7, you are greatly mistaken. I've got friends at dealerships and mechanics that work there, and they're already complaining about having to work on this car. Now, some have said that you're going to have the maintenance cost of a Porsche. I don't know if we go that far, but they said to change your spark plugs is going to be ridiculously expensive. The entire engine is covered. All you basically see is the intake manifold. So they said to access your transmission and replace it, well, they said the labor cost in that would probably be cheaper than the labor cost to replace your spark plugs. Again, that's probably an exaggeration, but mechanics are not looking forward to working on this car. It's going to be very complicated. And although the mid-engine cars do help with performance and handling and 0 to 60 times and everything like that, you have to look at it from a cost-effective point of view, because, all right, you have to go get, plug change. Well, what happens if you got to pull the engine out the bottom of the car just to change your plugs? I'm not saying that has to happen. That's just an exaggerated point. Now, these are still things you need to take into consideration when buying the Corvette, because everything was very easy and accessible on the C7. But that is all about the change. So if anything goes wrong, and this was a concern of mine from the start. I know as soon as you stick an engine in the back, you start designing around it, putting things on top of it, there's no accessibility, which means maintenance is a problem. I hate to say it, but Chevy, GM, they've had a past history of valve train issues. Okay, so if you have a valve train issue, say you drop a lifter or something goes wrong, the amount of work it's going to take to get that engine apart, well, let's start with, you're probably going to have to take the engine out, then take the engine apart. The cost is going to be astronomical. Now, obviously, that kind of thing would be covered under warranty, but if you bought one and your warranty expired, so you bought one a couple years down the road and it was used, that is a huge, huge cost. So these are things you're going to have to keep in mind when you buy a mid-engine car like this. Personally, no matter how fast or how well the car performs, this is what is going to deter me from buying it. I know a lot of people have mentioned they're dropping their allocations for a 2020 GT500 for the C8 Corvette. Well, that's a huge mistake, because one, the 2020 Shelby GT500 is going to be faster. I'll explain why in another video, so make sure you subscribe. And it's going to be a lot cheaper to work on. It's still a front engine car. The engine is accessible, unlike the C8 Corvette. Now, if you've made it this far into the video, I'm going to give you a little bit of a surprise that I did not advertise. Now, there has been a leaked document on the pricing of the C8. This has not been confirmed real. I'm not going to say it is. It is rumored to be real. So take it with a grain of salt. The base price is $58,900. If that is true, that is a fantastic deal. Now, you have the LT1 package, which I believe they said was going to be $63,000. The LT2 package, if you get that, will bump you up to about $65,000. The Z51 package, which is I'm sure is what everybody's going to want, because that's what gives you that active exhaust and your 0 to 60 times under 3 seconds and everything else. That's going to be, I believe, an additional $5,000 is what the document said. Again, this is all rumored documents, don't say it's fact. That would probably push you over $70,000, probably $72,000-ish. And if you wanted the exposed carbon package, who wouldn't want the exposed carbon package? Because I want the exposed carbon package on any car. I don't care if it's a Corvette or not. That's another $4,000 or $5,000. So if you get the Z51 package, the carbon package, you're looking at about $80-some thousand. So if you get the Z51 package and the carbon package, and Lord knows how many other packages, because apparently there is a lot to choose from, you're going to be pushing $80,000 easily. So and that's not even fully decked out. So this car could easily hit, I believe, mid $90,000 range. So again, take that with a grain of salt. That was just a little tidbit because none of it's been confirmed. I don't want to say it has been, but just a little treat to nibble on if you made it this far in the video. Again, if you have, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. I hope you did. Again, I'm Kevin. This is Real Steel Cars for all your automotive news and automotive talk. Catch you next time.